Okay, now this is something I've been meaning to do since September of last year. I originally had all this footage recorded a long time ago, but by the time I finally had the free time to edit this stuff out after I got all of my scheduling conflicts and personal issues resolved, it was approaching the beginning of October, and by that time I wanted to get started on a month of Castlevania with no delay. But since I finally have the free time to do it now, let's get started on this. Now, during my middle school years and well into my high school years, I've been a tremendous fan of the Dragon Ball series. Well, Dragon Ball Z to be more accurate. There wasn't a day that didn't go by where I wasn't sitting on my ass and watching a new episode every day after school. What the Power Rangers did for my childhood, Dragon Ball Z did for my teenage years. But before we get into all of my personal memories with the franchise, let's take a little history lesson for the two of you who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Back in 1984, a man by the name of Akira Toriyama began writing and illustrating a manga, for the Weekly Shonen Jump, an anthology of serialized manga that showcased different stories for all readers to enjoy. The story of Dragon Ball focused on Goku, a small boy with supernatural strength, agility, and endurance. Being raised in the countryside far away from civilization with his grandfather Gohan, Goku was all around a good-natured kid that, while not terribly smart, had a tremendous heart that made him extremely likable. Throughout the story, Goku accumulates many friends, including Bulma Priest, the daughter of the president of the Capsule Corporation, Yamcha, a former desert bandit, Master Roshi, who becomes Goku's mentor and trainer, Krillin, a Shaolin monk who also receives training from Master Roshi along with Goku, and Tien, with his trusted companion Chiaotzu. In addition to meeting new people, Goku also participated in many martial arts tournaments, which became more of the focus as the story went on. Throughout Goku's journey, he also comes across many enemies, including Emperor Pilaf, the Red Ribbon Army, and perhaps most famously, King Piccolo. One of the major plot elements in Dragon Ball was, well, the Dragon Balls. 7 mystical artifacts that, when collected, summon Shenlong, an enormous dragon that can grant the collector one wish. Dragon Ball, if I can give it a very short description, was a story of improving oneself and friendship. There's a lot more to it than that, but honestly, I'd be here all day if I went deeper into the story as a whole. Within time, Dragon Ball became insanely popular due to its combination of comedic plot elements, martial arts, and its insane amount of charm. After Dragon Ball ended, a sequel series was created called Dragon Ball Z, which introduced us to Goku's son Gohan, named after Goku's late grandfather. And just for a little clarification, if you're wondering why exactly I'm not showing any clips of the anime show, well, I hear Toei Animation's pretty damn strict about that when it comes to uploading clips on YouTube, so I decided not to risk it too much and just show the intro for Dragon Ball Z Kai. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z was a hell of a lot more action-packed than its predecessor. There were fisticuffs aplenty, energy beams flying left and right, the same repeated animations that I guess were supposed to signify super speed, and lots of shit blowing up. And I loved every second of it. Granted, Dragon Ball Z wasn't exactly great on its story, especially as the series went on to well over 290 episodes, but to this day, I still think the action more than made up for it. I remember back in the days when the show came on the afternoons on the WB. Initially, the series always ended right after Goku landed on planet Namek and kicked the ever-living shit out of most of the Ginyu Force. After that, it would always reset to the beginning of the series where we first meet Goku's brother Raditz. When the show began airing on Cartoon Network during the ever-lovable Toonami block, they finally started continuing the series from when they left off, and the rest is history. From the epic battle between Goku and Vegeta to Goku becoming Super Saiyan for the first time, Dragon Ball Z entertained the fuck out of me for so long, and though it may sound odd, also inspired me to make my own comics, which eventually led me to want to become an animator. With that said, when there's a successful anime, there's bound to be video game tie-ins, and Dragon Ball Z certainly had that area covered. The first ever Dragon Ball game I ever played was Dragon Ball Final Bout for the PlayStation around the year 1999. Its American release was extremely limited at the time, so I had to settle with the Japanese version that I received as a birthday present from my uncle, along with the Goldfinger, an add-on that allowed my PlayStation to play imports. Back then, I thought this game was awesome. I was controlling all of my favorite characters from the series, although the overabundance of different Gokus was a bit ridiculous. There were plenty of punches and kicks, and everybody had their signature moves. However, as the years went on, the game became noticeably worse. Well, first off, the character movement was extremely stiff, and pulling off the real fancy combos was a bit of a chore to do. The soundtrack was great, and to this day, I still get a kick out of the opening animation. But seriously, do we need this many Gokus? Maybe one day I'll go further into it, but I wouldn't count on seeing that anytime soon. Throughout the years, I would get to play some of the other games released for the Super Nintendo thanks to emulators, but like Final Bout, I always found the combat to be disjointed and incredibly clunky, especially when flight was involved. For Christmas of 2002, I was treated to 2 games, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance and Dragon Ball Z Budokai. With my experiences of previous Dragon Ball Z games in mind, I was a bit doubtful at first, but upon playing the game, all those doubts were casted aside. Well, most of them. Budokai not only controls a crap ton better than any other Dragon Ball Z game before, but as a fan of the series, it completely drew me in with its graphical style, combat mechanics, and multiplayer. Now, Dragon Ball Z Budokai is not exactly what you would call a deep fighter. In fact, I will gladly admit that if you're not already a Dragon Ball Z fan, you'll probably won't find much enjoyment out of this installment. Games like Street Fighter, Tekken, and hell, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance are better games than this. But since this review is for all of my Dragon Ball Z fans out there, let's review it anyway. The combat mechanics for Budokai are a bit unorthodox. You have a basic punch button, a kick button, a guard button, and an energy button, which you need to build up energy in order to use. Pressing the energy button by itself will cause your character to shoot a little ball of energy that can disrupt your opponent from a distance, or up close if you're feeling quite random. By chaining together punches and kicks along with the energy button, you can pull off characters' signature moves, such as Goku's Kamehameha Wave, Vegeta's Galick Gun, or Piccolo's the hell with it. Performing special moves like this, however, always felt a bit awkward to me. Besides making sure you have the required amount of energy bars to execute the attack, you always have to throw a certain amount of punches or kicks in order to perform it, and if you want the most out of it, you'll spend most of your time performing these beam attacks at point-blank range, which isn't very exciting. Besides energy beams, every character has their own set of physical combos as well, though they're pretty limited. Most of the time, you'll just end up using the same exact punch and kick combo that, while effective, gets a bit stale as the battle moves along. There are also times where you can knock your opponent into the air, where you can take your battle to the skies above. While nothing really changes in aerial combat, it's here where you can really get some use out of the dash attack, which can send an opponent skyrocketing to the floor, or through an environmental hazard. When your opponent is down, you can also spend the free time to charge up your energy meter, allowing you to perform more energy-based attacks. True to their characters, most of the fighters also have different transformations or power-ups that also consume energy with extended use. For instance, with Goku, you can utilize his Kaioken technique, or with enough energy, you can go straight Super Saiyan, increasing your power tremendously. They don't last forever though, so make sure you get the most out of it, and try not to fall on the floor when out of energy. It'll cancel your transformation, even for characters with supposedly permanent transformations like Frieza or Cell. Dragon Ball Z Budokai comes equipped with all the fighting game essentials. There's a versus mode, a tournament mode, and a story mode. There are a total of 23 fighters in this installment, including everybody from the beginning of the Z series up until the end of the Cell games. So no, there's nobody from the Majin Buu saga or any fusion characters of any sort, which may disappoint some of you. Versus mode is where you'll be spending most of your time, and it's definitely the best part of the game, though I'm pretty sure I can say that for just about every fighting game in existence. To be honest though, sometimes I can't help but feel most matches are just two characters trying to outlast a war of attrition. The combat will definitely get better by the time we get to the sequels, but for the first installment, it's still rather stiff. World Tournament mode is pretty self-explanatory, but it's here where you can also win Zenny, which is this game's equivalent to money. Located in the main menu is Edit mode, where you can purchase capsules and whatnot that you can equip to characters to expand their movesets or just physical capabilities altogether. Getting the most out of the combat mechanics out of this game will require you to go out of your way to grind tournaments for Zenny to buy capsules, which can get rather tedious along the way. If you want my advice, just pick the hardest difficulty setting in tournament mode, which you also need to purchase by the way, and try to throw everybody out of the ring, which results in an instant win. Story mode to me is definitely one of the highlights of the game. Out of all the Budokai games, this one certainly has the best attempt of recreating the first few story arcs of Dragon Ball Z. From the Saiyan Saga up to the end of the Cell game, story mode has you control certain characters at different points as you face the many challenges that the Z Warriors come across in Dragon Ball Z. With an abundance of cutscenes and the whole episodic setup, story mode really makes you feel like you're going to the anime series, something that no other Budokai game does. Personally, I really like how story mode trims the fat of the story arcs as a whole. While we lose some character development and some quirky plot elements, for a fighting game, I'm glad the game decides to cut around the bullshit filler and get you straight into the action. It's like watching an abridged version of Dragon Ball Z cut. Oh wait, that already exists. I also like the non-canon what-if scenarios the game introduces us to, like what if Frieza won the fight against Goku and Namek, or what if Cell accidentally absorbed Krillin instead of Android 18. They're not much, but I think they're fun little story elements. My only problem with the cutscenes are the times they decide to interrupt the story with notifications that you acquired a new capsule. Seriously, it completely breaks the immersion and sometimes it even creates some serious mood whiplash. While Dragon Ball Z Budokai may not be the most immersive of fighters, as a game that's meant to cater to Dragon Ball Z fans, I think it does its job well enough. The fighting, while still kind of limited, is rather fast-paced and the special moves are a sight to see, and the sound direction is spot on from the anime. I don't know what it is about the sound effects of Dragon Ball that makes combat and light shows so dazzling. In terms of the graphics overall, they're okay, though I think the cel-shaded look from the sequels just fits the setting better. The game was re-released for the GameCube, which intended to give the graphics a cel-shaded look, but I don't think it's as refined as Budokai 2 or 3. I don't own the GameCube version, however, so I'm limited to clips on YouTube. The music is great for the genre, and it definitely gets you pumped up for the fight. I especially like the song titled Challengers. Look it up when you get the chance. The voice acting is what I expected from Funimation. This game was released around the time Funimation started to get their own identity instead of shamelessly mimicking the previous Ocean dub. Overall, everybody does a pretty good job, although there are quite a number of times where the glazed ham is brought out in full display. You're a While in action, there's plenty of shouting, grunts, and battle cries, just about everything that made Dragon Ball Z what it was famous for. Still, there are times where I find some character grunts and sounds just plain bizarre, mainly from Frieza. And honestly, what's the deal with some of these attack names?
Oh.
Anyway, fans of Dragon Ball Z should definitely give it a shot. Maybe one day I'll go into the actual series itself, being that I'm still quite a huge fan of it, but that's definitely for a later time. While the sequels in the Budokai series will go on to improve the formula and overall gameplay, especially in Budokai 3, I still think this game is worth a play, if anything just for the story mode. Alright, I'm gonna end this before I break out in a fit of laughter.
Phew! Finally glad I got that game out of the way. So let's see what's up next. So Alright, Jesus Christ. Alright, look, ladies and gentlemen, again, I apologize for disappearing after the Sonic Generations review, but the winds of change are approaching, and I promise you guys the future is looking good. Next up, Metroid Prime 3.
Yay! About time.
I hope he reviews Metroid Prime 3. I may die.
You're dead.